Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Thread. We have an action-packed episode today. A lot of news stories to cover. So our first story to cover for today, I think broke this morning from the Daily Thread, or Stop Anti-Semitism on Twitter. If you Google the word Jew, this is still right now, if you Google the word Jew, the definition that comes up, to bargain with someone in a miserly or petty way. That is the current definition of Jew. Are you Googling it right now?
Where do you see that? I think someone sent it to me.
Google it. Go ahead. Search Jew. Go. Search Jew.
I think Mrs. sent it to me earlier today.
You see it?
Yeah. Dictionary. Jew. What dictionary is that? Oh, from Oxford Languages. Bargain with someone in a miserly or petty way.
Yeah.
Well,
ain't that something?
What do you think of that?
I don't know. First of all, Google, you got to get it right. This has already been up for definitely quite a few hours. I don't know if someone what is that? How is that? How is that still up?
Is that anti-Semitic? You think, or is that a tribute to the Jews?
What do you think?
Well, listen, it's not meant to be a compliment, you know?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but let me see. Okay. I'll point it out in a second. That's funny too. But listen, the Jews get. Let me have that. The Jews get blamed for a lot of things. I told you. I said on this program months ago. I think I used to work for fundamentalist Christians, for a radio station that was owned by Christians back in the late 1980s and early 1990s. And, you know, they believe in what the Bible says about the relationship between the non-Jews and the Jews. They believe that those that bless you will be blessed and those that curse you will be cursed. So they try to be as good as possible to the Jews. But I don't know, there's something crazy going on. Like, for example, the Washington Post in a story today did a story about an outbreak of measles in Ohio.
Okay.
There's an outbreak of measles in Ohio. What they used for a picture in the story? A picture of Haredi Jews walking in Brooklyn.
In Ohio, though.
The story's about it's a measles outbreak in Ohio for whatever reason. Somebody came there with the measles, and they passed it around in a school or whatever. So to illustrate the story, in the Washington Post today, they showed a picture of Haredi Jews walking in Brooklyn. In terms of that definition in the dictionary, it's not meant to be flattering. But at the same time that the non-Jewish world sees the Jews as being able to effectively, successfully handle money, that's one thing. There's also historically there's been a lot of countries, believe me, especially in the immediate aftermath of the Holocaust, that did not want their Jews to leave. They did not want their Jews to leave because they felt that it would hurt their economy. As a matter of fact,
I remember we discussed that. I'm just honestly stuck in the fact that Google has that as a definition. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. If it was, it would never fly for even 5 seconds about any other religious sect or race.
But you have to take a step back and look at the big picture. In 1490,
Why?
In 1492, when King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella expelled all the Jews from Spain who refused to convert to Catholicism, to Christianity, they had a finance minister who was a great Torah commentator, the Abarbanel. I'm sure you heard of him. And the Abarbanel was the man who was in charge of the economy in Spain at the time. They wanted all the Jews to be expelled who didn't want to convert to Christianity, except the Abarbanel. He was able to stay. They allowed him to stay. Okay, but you know what he did? You know what he did? He led the Jews. He was the first one to leave. He led the Jews out of Spain. He wasn't going to stay behind because the Spanish Inquisition, because they wanted Jews to convert to Christianity. Listen, as far as that dictionary definition is concerned, I think that they have a lot of explaining to do. And
So yeah, another notable story is that 4,000 flights were canceled over the weekend. 2,500 of them from Southwest Airlines.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that? That was because of the ice storm?
I'm guessing that's because of the ice. And to be honest, places like Nashville and different parts of Tennessee were even places like Seattle were hit with ice storms. Places that are not, really used to getting such weather, completely like handicapped by the weather this weekend. So flights are grounded, which is, on the weekend that has probably the most traveling of the year, is a nightmare. New Year's, Christmas time is the most traveling of the year for these airports. I don't know about their luggage. It seems like luggage is all over the place. My sister-in-law was somewhere, and she said Newark Airport looked like an absolute, there's just luggage everywhere.
Guess what?
The Southwest CEO, Bob Jordan, told the Wall Street Journal that the airline would operate just over a third of its usual schedule to allow crews to get back to where they need to be. We had a tough day today, he said. In all likelihood, we'll have another tough day tomorrow as we work our way out of this. This is the largest scale event that I've ever seen. Can you imagine going to work and be like, yesterday was a tough day. Tomorrow will also probably be a tough day. That's great.
Well, listen, airlines have a way of being able to lose your luggage on a beautiful day, too.
What's that?
Airlines have a way of being able to lose your luggage on a beautiful day, too.
That is true.
We've had that. I had that last summer when I was flying to Israel. On the flight, a guy came over to me and kneeled down the side and said, Mr. Gordon, by the way, your luggage is not on this flight. It's on another flight.
Well, that's very comforting to hear middle of the year, huh?
Well, I don't know. I can't imagine what he wanted to tell me, but that's what he told me. And it took about a day. But we got our luggage eventually. I mean, everything is tagged. Everything's computerized. It's pretty difficult to lose it.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult. Another headline from Yeshiva World: over 150 Jews stranded in Moldova after forcibly removed from a flight. Shockingly disgraceful conduct, and due to its own error, a Moldovan airline on Sunday removed all the passengers, mostly from Jews, from a flight to Israel and forcibly expelled them from the airport. The incident occurred due to an error by Air Moldova, which registered two passengers with the same name as one person. As a result, when the passengers boarded the plane, one was left without a seat. Arguments began, and in the ensuing chaos, the pilot decided he was quitting, and they canceled the flight. At that point, all the passengers, most of them Israelis, who had spent Shabbos, Hanukkah, and Uman, were removed from the flight and then expelled from the airport. One of the passengers told Bechadje Haredim, "They treated us like dogs. Police officers used a stun gun on one of the passengers. I don't have any pictures to show you because whoever took out a phone was immediately pounced on by officers. The police then began physically removing us from the terminal."
Wow. I don't know what to say.
Exciting times around the world.
How was the weather in Moldova?
I don't know, but I don't know what the weather was like in Moldova. I'm assuming it's probably cold.
Well, I know the shliach in Moldova.
Yeah, well, it says here that 150 from Jews were stuck at the airport without food. Chabad of Moldova, they
Rabbi
went.
Rabbi Zusha Abelsky.
He's in Moldova.
He's in Moldova.
It says Rav Gutzel and Rav Axelrod.
Okay, they're there too, I guess. They've been very busy. They've been very busy since the war broke out in Ukraine.
Oh, and also says on Monday morning, Rav Abelsky was also called by Moldovan government officials and airport officials requesting that he assist the stranded passengers. He invited them to the Great Synagogue of Kishinev, whose renovation was completed in recent weeks, to eat hot meals, daven in the minyan, and receive any assistance they needed. So yeah, a lot of Jews were stranded in Moldova. You can have a few pictures here I'll show on the screen. I don't know. I personally, I don't know about you. I don't travel that much. I don't like, you're not going to find me in Moldova. You're not going to find me in Kishinev. You're not going to find me in, honestly, most of these places.
Well, that's so far. You might, your curiosity might be piqued. You might want to travel to these places someday and do your part to help out the Jews in those areas. You may be on your way someplace else or to stop over in Moldova. Where were these people going from? Moldova was the destination? Where were they going?
They were in. I think they were in Uman for Shabbos Hanukkah.
Wow, and they were going back to Israel.
Yeah.
So they didn't fly from Uman. They probably went by bus or train from Uman to Moldova, which is the border with Ukraine, and then flew from Moldova. Tried to fly anyway from Moldova to Israel.
I guess so.
All right, listen, you got to have a good travel agent that knows what he's doing at the end of the day.
I don't know, but yeah, I guess.
Anybody that tries to book you on Air Moldova, maybe you should try somebody else. See if they have any ideas. Yeah. But JetBlue doesn't go to Moldova, I don't think.
I don't think so. I see my third story for today. I think it's a third story. Is via Bar Park 24. Mrs. Ilana Schick, Baruch she's the eldest woman in Bar Park. She passed away today. She was 108 years old.
Yeah.
And she vividly recalled the Karastir of her youth and the holy sage of Karastir, of Shiloh of Karastir. She would sit on her porch, it said, and realize that we had a gem within our midst. And she said, I would urge people from the neighborhood to go and meet this special woman. She would speak about the special times back home in Karastir, the way her family would light Chanukah lich, the Pesach Sedarim. It's really amazing. The Levaya took place yesterday morning in Shomer Yadas. She passed away, I think, a couple days ago. The Levaya took place on Monday morning in Shomer Yadas. 108 years old. She's the oldest woman in Borough Park.
So she knew Shia Reb Moshe.
Rav Shaila ben Reb Moshe, yeah.
Shaila ben Moshe, Shia Reb Moshe. Those are the magic words very often.
Rav Shaila, who's Rav Shia?
Shaila, Shaila Reb Moshe, Shia.
Yeah.
You don't know him so well. You don't have to call him Shaila. You can call him Shia. You weren't his buddy. Anyway, I'll give you. If you haven't know other stories, there's a story here about an ISIS terrorist who was responsible for those bombings in the bus stop.
Yeah.
That killed that kid and another man.
Aryeh Shupak, yeah.
Right. Anyway, he studied engineering at a Jerusalem college for 5 years.
Wow.
He's a student here. Okay, he's a terrorist behind deadly Jerusalem bombing. Studied at Azrieli College of Engineering in the capital, and he was employed at an Israeli factory. And he said they didn't. He says they mostly cheated on all of his tests. He used to ask other students in the school if they could help him with the answers. But he attended the school for 5 years. Here's a picture of him. I don't know if that helps you over there. You can get it off of Aretz Sheva. But
I'll get it. Yeah.
That's a sad state of affairs, unfortunately.
Well, how does someone like that get into an Israeli college?
Listen, the miracle of Israel, Nachi, is the populations are not separated. They're very, very intertwined. They're very, very mixed. You can walk in the tourist areas where we hang out these days, in the area of the Citadel, the Waldorf, the Old City, the Mamila Mall, and so on and so forth. You see Arab young men going back and forth. You have Arab women dressed in, traditional, customary Arab headdresses. The what's it called? They wear on their head again.
Burqa.
The burqa. Yeah, they're not just the burqas, but they're intermingled with the rest of the population. They're shopping in Zara. They're shopping in Foot Locker.
But how are you supposed to identify someone who's an ISIS terrorist and someone who's just just another Arab that's working in Mamilo or working in the Waldorf? Like, this guy went to an Israeli college. He got his education in Israel, in Jerusalem, and he used that education to commit an attack against Israelis.
Yeah. All right, listen. This is we were walking down Jaffa Road before, and coming back to the hotel, and there's two Arab women, obviously Arab women, sitting having a conversation, drinking a cup of coffee, like nothing's happening. You and me, let's try to go into Ramallah and sit down at a coffee shop and just have a conversation. See how long we're going to last. Doing
it's the biggest double standard. It's the biggest double standard. And
listen, it's a big problem, and it's been pointed out that way for, I don't know, for decades. It's always been like that. Maybe for 100 years it's been like that. But that's what it means. That's part of what it means to be a Jew in the world today.
That is, listen. Anytime something like this happens, that the attack, it's troubling and it's awful. But to hear that someone like this was educated by an Israeli college is just, I'm not saying I side with people like Itamar Ben-Gvir, but I imagine Itamar Ben-Gvir's viewpoint and his stance would prevent stuff like this happening, no?
Yeah, well, listen, Itamar Ben-Gvir, the new government is going to be sworn in on Thursday. Itamar Ben-Gvir is going to be a minister of public security. He's going to be in charge of the police. He wants the Israelis to be safe. He doesn't want a bad thing. He wants a good thing.
Of course, yeah, and as he should, because you know what, and again, people might say, "Oh, you guys don't live in Israel. Who are you to discuss what's going on in Israel?" But like, I think this is a discussion that we could have. I think the fact of the matter is that you can't have this going on under your own. Israel can't be concerned about winning over the viewpoint of the United Nations or politicians around the world, and saying, "Oh no, we have Arabs here and we love them and we give them," because if those Arabs are going to turn around and use the education and use the resources that you give them to create bombs and to commit attacks against your people, it's not worth one life.
You can't run a country the same way you run a popularity contest, you know. And the people here last month voted for a right-wing government, a solid 64 seats.
So what does that tell you about the people in Israel? Government. It tells you they're a little bit fed up.
Listen, I heard Netanyahu say that in terms of what the priorities of the new government is, what do Israelis want? He said the number one thing that Israelis want is security. One.
Yeah.
Then that's followed long, far away. Far away after security, not even close, is the economy. They want to have jobs. They want to have what to eat. They want to have where to live. They want to have secure jobs and so on and so forth. But that's number two. Nothing else that you have is worth anything if you don't have security. If your kids can't get on the bus in the morning and go to school safely, if you can't walk down the street at night and anywhere in the country and feel safe and secure. So that's number one. That's what Netanyahu is committed to. Safety and security. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's to switch over to here in America. I actually was yesterday in Roosevelt Field Mall, and so was Nissan in Roosevelt Field. Yeah, it was open, and there was a lot of people there.
Really?
And just literally hours after we left, there was an active shooter in the mall. I don't believe that any shots were fired. But in the food court where literally we were standing hours before, a fight broke out and someone pulled a gun. So that triggered an active shooter in the mall.
You saw it? You saw the fight?
No, we were already gone by then. It happened probably around 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
And we were out of there. We were out of there by 3. So, but there was thousands of people in that mall, and it's just like, the world has become in such a way that you can't go places with a lot of people without thinking, well, maybe someone here is crazy.
Well, there are crazy people all over the place. No question about it. And that's probably one of the biggest dangers, especially in New York.
That's like one of the biggest impacts of terrorism, is that it just doesn't cause terror just in the moment. It causes terror forever. People can't go to a movie theater anymore and sit down and relax and watch a movie without the fear of someone coming in and wreaking havoc.
But it's not about guns. We're here in Israel, by the way. Our cousin Yochanan Brook is here with his wife and children. We were sitting together having coffee, and of course his brother is in Boston, Montana, Chaim Shol Brook. And Chaim Shol has told me many times that in the state of Montana, where there's 900,000 people living in the entire state, there happens to be two things to note on that subject. Number one, with the 900,000 people who are the population of the entire state, there are 25 million registered guns. Okay? And along with the 25 million registered guns and the 900,000 people, guess what? There's no crime. So there's no crime to speak of.
How about you ask the moose if there's no crime? I think they'll tell you there's crime.
Kill a moose.
25 million. That's 27 guns per person.
Okay, people need their guns. People need their guns.
Why?
How many guns do you have?
I have zero.
I'm not talking about water guns. I'm talking about real guns.
These muscles?
Yeah, I see you didn't do such a good job cleaning up the office.
I'm getting there. We're shipping out the stuff today. We're shipping out stuff, and that's why the mess is here. But 25 million. Listen, I'm not saying you need 25 million guns, and to be honest, gun control is a whole other discussion and argument, which is even dangerous to talk about because of the different viewpoints and the way.
Well, Nachi, people use guns for different things. People use it as a defensive piece of equipment to defend themselves and their families. Use it for hunting, which is a big sport. Okay, there's different types of guns, and you take a state like Montana, like I said, there's under 1 million people with 25 million registered guns. It just goes to show you that this business in New York, every time there's a violent crime, blaming it on guns is wrong. It's not the guns. It's not the guns that hurt anybody. It's the crazy people that hurt the people.
So there was, after a recent mass shooting, I one night took to Twitter and I tweeted something which I then later deleted in the morning when I saw the backlash I was getting. I wrote something along the lines of we don't necessarily have a gun crisis in this country. We have a mental health problem in this country.
Well, what's wrong with that?
What is wrong with that? I don't know. Maybe it was bad. Maybe it was bad timing. I was getting killed from everyone, from both sides of the aisle, Jews, non-Jews. Like, how can you say this? And to be honest, I think it's kind of true. Like, there is a mental health problem in this country, and it's the people who get their hands on these guns, that we have to really. You don't think so?
The funny.
Why? Is that cancel? Am I cancelable if I say that I'm not saying guns aren't a problem. I think, again, there's two problems. There's guns and there's a mental health problem. But without
there's three problems.
I think someone who intends to do bad will do bad, gun or no gun. Whether it's a knife, whether it's a different way of doing it, whether it's pushing someone on in front of a train. You could take away the gun, but the person's still going to do bad.
What about all the knives? What about all the knives that people commit crimes with and kill people by stabbing them? All the gun control advocates, once there's a stabbing murder, they don't say a word. They just go on to the next story. They don't want to mention it because that's a big problem. I was in a store today. I was in a Judaica store today in Jerusalem, and I was looking all around. Every place I looked, there was challah knives all around me, and that's here. And if you have any other intent other than to slice a piece of challah, it potentially could be a problem.
So that's, you agree with me then that our issue is why are people wanting to do these crazy things, and we should be addressing that. And I think that's sort of why the Rebbe why the Lubavitch Rebbe wanted a moment of silence in all the public schools, Jews, non-Jews, is that people could have some introspection and they could think in their soul and just think to themselves and better themselves.
I think the simple answer to why crazy people do crazy things is because they're crazy, and there's a big mental, it's a big mental health issue. No matter what city in the world life is very hard on people, and and sometimes it crushes them and it makes them do crazy things.
Okay, well, you know what? People could chime in on this conversation by signing up to our WhatsApp status. The link is in the description, or you can email us and we will feature your feedback on tomorrow morning's episode. You can email us at thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to see a review from you, a rating, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Okay, have a good night, everybody. Thank you.